Hi, and welcome to Raz Reviews. Today, I'm going to be talking about Wandavision. Wandavision is a Disney Plus miniseries, and it takes place within the continuity of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if you haven't seen any of the MCU movies, especially the last two Avengers movies, this show does not make any sense. In the story, we find Wanda Maximoff and Vision living some sort of ideal life in 1950s America, in what seems to be the setting of an actual sitcom. So if you've seen all the MCU movies, this show still doesn't make any sense.
Confusion of the highest order.
Now obviously whatever is going on is kind of weird, and something fishy seems to be happening, and the show plays up this mystery, which I enjoyed. They don't tell you exactly what's going on, and you're supposed to be confused, which was very entertaining and different than what we usually get, a paint-by-number sort of story, especially in the comic book series universe. This actually starts out very weird and strange, but it keeps you curious the whole time. So the first 3 episodes are full of WTF moments until you reach episode 4, when the show starts to sort of give you some answers as to what's going on. I personally really liked WandaVision. It's actually very enjoyable and quite different and unique. I really liked the fact that it was paying homage to old sitcoms. I'm a big fan of sitcoms, so I really liked seeing these Easter eggs and callbacks. I love the references. I love the I Love Lucy, the Family Ties, the Malcolm in the Middle, and even Modern Family. Like, they really picked up a lot of shows that I watched as a kid, which was pretty cool. It went through all the phases of sitcoms from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and 2000, and modern day sitcoms, and even incorporated a lot of the visual style from, you know, the 3-camera stage sitcom with live audience to going single camera and moving and doing like mockumentary style and breaking the fourth wall. Like, it was really cool, actually. I really enjoyed that aspect of the show. The show is sort of split into 2 things, the sitcom world and what's happening in the outside world. And I found the sitcom world to actually be more interesting than what's happening in the outside world. The outside world is your typical, you know, SHIELD type agent stuff, which we've seen a lot of. We've seen it in Thor, we've seen it in a lot of movies, so it wasn't anything that different. So I wasn't that much into it as much as I was into the whole crazy world inside Westview, the town that Wanda is living in with Vision. The mystery element works really well, and it turns you into this investigative journalist watching the show, just looking at every single corner of the screen, trying to find hints and clues as to what's going on and who's behind everything that's happening. I also loved the mini commercials that they put in the middle of the sitcom shows, and how they were tying into like Hydra and her past and the MCU timeline. It was pretty cool, and it also gave me a lot of things to obsess with. Like, I went fully Charlie Day on those.
Buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper.
I'm like, that toaster is definitely Mephisto. However, at the same time, that kind of hurt the show, I think, because over the course of the series, everybody ended up sort of overanalyzing everything and coming up with fan theories. And sometimes those fan theories were correct, and sometimes they weren't, but they were a little bit more interesting than what ended up actually happening. So that hurt the show because it set these expectations to what's supposed to happen, and when it doesn't, you kind of feel let down. But whose fault is that? Is it the fault of the showmakers for not thinking of the thing you thought of? Or is it your fault for overanalyzing and studying every single piece of coffee mug in the show for clues? I don't know whose fault it is. You know, it's the age of the internet and the YouTube analysis videos. It really is kind of overwhelming at some point, and maybe it did hurt the show, especially when it came to the finale. As much as I loved the show and I loved the first half of it, the finale was a little underwhelming for me, and it didn't deliver as much as I felt was promised. It had some cool action, it had some cool set pieces, but again, we've seen that a lot in the MCU, and some of the reveals were meh. Okay, I guess that's what we're going with. But after the show was finished and I looked back, I found that the strength of the show is that at heart, it's a meditation on loss and grief. It really does take a very deep and profound look at how that affects a person and how it affects their relationship with their own reality. And I thought the character of Wanda was a great tool to talk about this subject, which is kind of heavy. And the show does have a few really powerful emotional moments that work really well. And a lot of that is credited to Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany's performance. They are amazing in this. She's the best we've ever seen her, and you know, Paul Bettany is Paul Bettany. The two of them have really nice chemistry, and they really delivered on a lot of the emotional scenes and moments between those two characters. We felt for them, we rooted for them, and I really sympathized with their struggle and with their pain. All under the veneer of this quirky, crazy hilariously campy sometimes homage to, classic sitcoms. Another really good thing that WandaVision does is set up interesting characters and arcs for the future of the MCU. It's not isolated, it does affect future stories, and they introduced really cool people like Agnes. She was awesome. Monica's character, Jimmy, these are all people I want to see going forward. But most importantly, we got reintroduced to the character of Wanda Maximoff. This show sort of retcons her past and redoes some of the things they did back in Age of Ultron, and they made her character even cooler, now pushing her to be even more powerful and more interesting. And going forward, I think she's gonna be one of the most interesting and fascinating heroes in the MCU. Or maybe even a villain. I don't know. At the end of the day, WandaVision was a very enjoyable series for somebody like me who's a huge fan of the MCU. It was nice to see something different because we've been seeing more or less the same thing for the last couple of phases. And now to start us on this new phase of Marvel movies, this is a really cool change and I enjoyed that a lot. Even though the ending of the series was a little bit lackluster, I still enjoyed the ride there and I love the possibilities that this show sets up for the future. I enjoyed the performances, the comedy, the callbacks, the Easter eggs, all of it. A lot of fun. Not the best show ever made, but quite a fun ride for an MCU fan. So for that reason, I'm gonna give WandaVision an 8 out of 10. So, have you seen WandaVision? Did your theories pan out or were you disappointed with the answers? Did you enjoy the mystery? Let me know in the comment section. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. But don't forget to ask me what you'd like me to review for you next. See ya!